There's a specific kind of horror that doesn't come from monsters. It comes from certainty. The certainty that you are chosen. The certainty that you are right. The certainty that your suffering has meaning. Saint Maud isn't interested in chaos. It's interested in isolation, in shame, in the quiet space where faith and fragility begin to blur. How far would you go to prove your devotion is real? Hello, everybody, and welcome to Classically Weird. My name is Headmaster Howard.
And I'm Regana Ray.
And today we are venturing through the world of Saint Maud.
Yes, we are. I just want to give a moment to you because that was such a beautiful reading of that. Because this is the second time we tried this with
a cold open
like that. So please forgive me, my love, that I was doing really good with everything and you were giving me this look and I was like, oh, I forgot we're doing cold opens now. So I just shut my eyes and I was listening to you read that and I was like, yeah, that sounded really amazing. So I applaud you. That's really good. So take a moment, shut your eyes and just re-listen to that opening.
All right, everybody. So Saint Maud, just run through a couple basic information things. This was our first watch through of this. This is a British psychological horror film that deals in religious psychosis. So this was brought to us by writer and director Rose Glass. This was her feature debut.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Okay.
This is a deep one to be your debut for a feature-length film. This is deep.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Now, this stars Welsh actress Morfydd Clark. She actually won a BAFTA for this, a Welsh BAFTA.
Oh, wow. We talked about that in the last video, with
The Exorcist.
With The Exorcist, yeah. And learned that that's the British awards, like our Academy Awards. Wow, good for her.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's quite the accomplishment. She also starred as Galadriel in Lord of the Rings: The Rings of Power, the TV series that they did recently for Lord of the Rings. And Galadriel is a hell of a role to take on. I haven't seen Rings of Power yet, but I'd be interested to see it, actually.
Comes the one that's super excited and loves that series, and it's their favorite book ever.
I know. I have fallen off on my Tolkien.
I was about to say, I'm surprised that you have not made time for something like that. Now that I know, we've got to pull you away from some edits, maybe somewhere in between.
Make a little time. Yeah. Her co-star in this was Jennifer Ehle. She has actually a very large filmography, including The King's Speech and 50 Shades of Grey. Right? This is the first time I ever actually remember her taking center stage on something as a main character.
Sorry, I got lost in 50 Shades of Grey. And not in the way you think. I was like, I've actually never seen that. And there's so many things about it. I've never taken the time to read it or see it. And The King's Speech, I want to say I've watched that and it was really, really good.
King's Speech was really good. It was about King George, I believe, who was a really bad stutterer and had a hard time with radio broadcasts, all these things. So he goes to this guy to try to help him through the process of it all. And it's actually a really good movie, not horror related at all.
I believe I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I watched that with my parentals.
Yeah.
So yes,
that's a good one for the parents and the family.
Yes, exactly. And historical and all of that.
Production company for this was A24. As soon as we saw that pop up, both of us were like, yes. Because we are actually big A24 fans. We have genuinely enjoyed most of the movies that we have watched from them. There have been some exceptions, like The Lighthouse, which was too artsy, in my opinion.
We debate on Midsummer.
Midsummer, I actually really enjoyed.
And I'm on the fence about. I can take it or leave it. But was there some X symbols throughout this film as well? Did you see any?
Not necessarily.
Not just. I was wondering if it was a nod to their other film, X. Yeah, So it was just curious. It was something that I caught because once we tuned into that it was A24, I really saw that A24 style in there.
Yeah, they do kind of have a locked in style
to them. That, yes. I find that now when we're starting to watch a movie, because we have our theme, that I immediately start asking myself and start looking at where is the madness and moral decline in it. So I'm curious, when we get to a certain point, I would like to discuss like what points out for that theme, if we could.
Absolutely. Now, the premise of this movie is something that is good. It is definitely something worth talking about. However, I do not recommend this movie to everybody. There are definitely triggering topics in this movie. If you have not seen it and you struggle with self-harm, stay away. I don't recommend it. Proceed at your own risk, is what I'll say, instead of stay away. But yeah, there's some interesting elements to this that are potentially triggering for people.
It's thought-provoking if you're willing to explore it, because I'm gonna be honest, I kind of treat this as like our date night. And we watch a movie and then we get dressed up and we come and record to hang out and talk to each other about it. But I was surprised at how quickly I forgot this movie. Like, if we didn't have a channel, we would have sat and really chatted about it right there in bed, and I would have moved on and not really remembered to even recommend this to anybody. So I felt like you really had to kind of come back. But coming back, learning some cool things and how to, get in with my emotions and really sit with Maud and how I felt about it. And I'm kind of looking forward to chatting with you about it.
That is one of the beautiful things about film analysis and doing critiques like this and criticism like this. It really does make you think about the media that you're consuming instead of just consuming it.
Yes.
It gives you some form of agency in it, which is quite lovely.
I was coming to the table thinking this was going to be the first one that I would say, I don't know that I would recommend it, because it was a good watch. I enjoyed it, but I didn't connect to carry me on further.
That's valid, right? That is your point of view on this. Now, I think with that being said, we're about to move into the spoiler section of this movie. We watched this on Amazon Prime. You can find it on there currently for free. But I would recommend this with caution. All right, so welcome to the spoiler section of our video here on the movie Saint Maud. Just like we do with every other one now, we're going to dive into a plot synopsis, just give you kind of a breakdown, get into the groove of it as it would be, whether or not you've seen it before. After a disturbing incident ends her nursing career, Katie reinvents herself as Maud, a devout live-in caregiver assigned to Amanda, a terminally ill artist in a quiet seaside town. Certain that she has been chosen by God for a higher purpose, Maud becomes fixated on saving Amanda's soul before it's too late. But Amanda embraces pleasure, skepticism, and the physical world in ways that unsettle Maud's fragile certainty. As isolation tightens around her and her spiritual experiences intensify, Maud's conviction grows more extreme. By the time she makes her final sacrifice, Maud believes she has fulfilled her calling, even if the world sees something very different.
Such a traumatic film.
All right, so getting into this, did you feel like this was a character study, or was it something else to you?
Yeah, it really was. I mean, it was all about her and her experience and what was happening and what her perception of everything was. So yes, I would say that it was really a character analysis of her.
Now, were you scared of this at any point?
I was intrigued throughout the movie, trying to figure out what was happening with her, because she's introduced to us as this sweet hospice nurse, and I'm sorry, what was she was a nurse. Palliative care. They're two different things. I apologize between them. I did look it up, but you're a sweet nurse that is going on to her next mission and everything, dear God, and she's reaching out. And so that she's some sort of devout, and any sort of religion always piques my interest, and where this was going, because we hadn't seen this at all. And so yeah, I was intrigued by her, but I wasn't scared of her. I more had empathy for her, because she just was a lonely girl.
Now, I fully agree with you on that point. I was not scared of this movie at any point. There wasn't really but there was a unnervingness to it. It was very cringeworthy, and I was more curious than anything. I spent most of this movie going, what the hell's gonna happen next?
Yes.
Like Maud, what's your next step here?
Yes. What's your end game? What's going on?
Right. And especially early on in the movie, I'm going, oh, wait a minute. Maud, Amanda, okay, these are our two main players.
Mm-hmm.
Who's gonna be the twisted one here? Who is it? Yeah, and we do see Maud spiral as the movie progresses. Then we also see some darkness coming from Amanda too. So yes. I'm going, it could really be either one of them.
You're in the transition. So you've got Maud, who is the nurse who's helping her deal with coming to death. She says, what is that? There's a line that Amanda says, it's very boring to die. Her whole personality, when you kind of figure out she was an actress. She had this big, luxurious life. She's paying women potentially to come and bed her. She's now laid up in this bed and doesn't feel her best, but she's still reaching for it. And I just felt sympathy for her, and I wanted her to have some sort of an experience. But then you also see Maud, who almost idolized her and was trying to save her at the same time. And she just really wanted connection. Maud did.
So on that topic, do you think that Maud is trying to save Amanda, or do you think she's trying to save herself?
Start of it was Maud trying to save Amanda, because of the way that all plays out for me. And then there is the disturbance where they are now no longer in each other's lives, and there's a spiral happening, and we now really find out that Maud had a background and she could be a little bit of a hussy, and because there's a guy calls her out, hey, you're that little nursey nurse that's been coming around. But you also understand that she's spiraling, and that's where I really felt for her and the connection, her psychosis made her save somebody and then have to save herself.
Yeah, by the end of it, I definitely think that Maud is doing this to save herself. And you're right. Which also goes to speak towards, you can never really trust the mask that people wear when you meet them.
Mm-hmm.
Because we meet Maud as, like you said, that innocent, sweet nurse. And then as we progress through and get to know her more, we see the darker side of her history, her potentially substance abuse. There was also promiscuity.
Thank you.
Trying to save face for something, which was it was left ambiguous throughout the entire thing. Whatever that traumatic event that happened was when she was a nurse at the hospital,
mm-hmm.
that carried forward with her. And it was alluded that it was something that she did, because when she meets Joy asks Maud, they know what happened?
That alluding at that point made me wonder, was it accidental or intentional? later on, I got the impression that it was accidental. It looked like maybe she was trying to save somebody, is the impression I got. And she pressed too hard and crushed
the chest
place. So, and she was a nurse. So, but to me, that was that you were still a good person. Some of us go out and have a few drinks, and some of us go out and enjoy the company of others. That doesn't make you a bad person. But then when I felt like almost accidentally killed this person, then she went on this I have to save the next soul. Like, she realizes, now she's in a position that I can save people. So she's trying to, save herself by trying to save another from doing something that really was none of her business, and should just let an old woman die the way she wants to die.
The cracking of the ribs that you talked about there, have you ever gone through a CPR class?
I probably need to take another one, especially with our kids.
Okay. So one of the things when you're going through a CPR class, they actually tell you you're going to crack ribs.
Okay.
That is a natural part of it. In fact, actually, you should be pushing hard enough to do that, because broken ribs are better than a heart not beating. Because you need to put enough pressure to actually push the blood through.
Wow. Since when did I start complaining of my chest pains?
Since last night.
Since last night? Okay, because I thought, was it after we watched the movie? I just thought it was interesting that...
I mean, yeah, it was after we watched the movie, but...
Oh, yeah. But no, and since then, I'm like, maybe I was more spiritually connected than I thought. And then I remember walking in the other... I'd run out and I came back in and I was like, she's buying her stairway, the stairway to heaven. I'm like, oh yeah, she was really trying to like get on her knees with the rocks and the what is that? Is that defined under body horror?
To a point. What that really comes down to is there are certain organizations of Christianity that deal in self-pain in order to try to replicate and show homage to what happened with Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
So the rocks that she put down as she was kneeling, the spikes into the bottom of the shoes. Oh my God, cringe. So cringe. Now, from a horror perspective, that's body horror. Ooh. But from a religious standpoint, it's them trying to almost pay up on the debt that was made through his sacrifice. Does that make sense?
Makes sense if you're going down that route.
Do you think that she's interpreting just regular things that happen to support her existing belief?
That feels loaded for me only because of who I am as a person. When you see her looking up to the clouds and the spiral of energy, which also could relate to her spiraling out of control, but that was her perception, and I can look at the clouds and see a portal of energy in the way that same sort of ring of energy was happening, and I can look at that and see that as abundance and joy and love and all these amazing blessings coming down upon me and those I love and stuff like that. If I'm in a very dark space, or if I think that it's aliens, that becomes your own perception of what it is and what each individual person is seeing. Because the man standing next to me could look up at the sky and say, I just see a cloud.
To me, it represents confirmation bias, which is where you take a set of information or things that are happening and use it to support the narrative that you're trying to push. We see this oftentimes in society at large. There's a lot of confirmation bias from different people's perspectives and all these things. They're taking all these vast variety of data points and cherry picking out which ones actually fit for them. Mm-hmm. It's confirmation bias. So I believe that this is happening, and this right here is proving that it is, even though all of this stuff is not proving that it is.
I can see that. Interesting question. Maud versus Amanda, and who actually holds the power?
In that dynamic between the two of them, I'm going to say that Amanda actually holds the power because of who Amanda is. One, she's her employer, but two, she's also celebrity, she's famous, so on and so forth. But also, if you look at the dynamic when the two of them are alone, Amanda really is the one in control. And it's Amanda's actions that send Maud further down her spiral, which is a form of control. Maud really, she was reacting. She wasn't planning. She was just reacting.
Now that we've seen this movie, what stood out to you the most?
Maud's psychosis. Because she ends up trying to overcorrect for the sins of her past. She takes it to such an extreme that it taints her entire vision of the world and what's happening around her. I'm a big one on psychology, mental states, what people are thinking, what's the perception. And that to me is actually a really good illustration of what it's like when you get so sucked into a mental state and it changes your perception of everything. Now, what about you? What stuck out the most to you?
I'd say one of the most unsettling parts for me is how grounded it all felt. There was no dramatic possession. There's no real theatrics. Just a woman trying desperately to give her suffering some meaning.
I completely get that. I genuinely, I do. It does feel very grounded. It feels like it could happen, which is disturbing.
Mm-hmm. The ambiguity isn't just God versus delusion. It's about meaning versus emptiness. And you can see when she spirals as well. And she, dear God, when she feels him around, when it's God, it's where are you kind of intensity with her.
Now, do you think that her experiences with that are truly divine?
That makes me wonder if it was really happening. I mean, she could truly have been having some sort of devout experience, but to the rest of the world, she was a woman set on fire.
Rewinding just a little bit to the relationship between Amanda and Maud. Do you think that Amanda ever truly took Maud seriously?
At some small points, I think she did. I think that she was partaking in the experience that Maud was presenting. Because as she said, it's boring to die. You're in this house, so why not take part in an experience that somebody is offering until you overstep your boundary? And that's what ended to their demise and what sent Maud on her deep, dark spiral that ended in Amanda's demise.
Yeah, I can see that.
Do you think Amanda was a demon, or do you think that was her delusion?
It was delusion.
You think that was delusion?
I hands down think it was delusion.
I debated that. I really did, because there was that whole kind of, for me, watching it, Amanda is dying, and we are experiencing from a religious point of view of the lifestyle that Amanda was living is considered sinful. And so there was that brief moment of maybe was there something inside of Amanda, and could she have been releasing that demon out of her and then sacrificing herself, like, look at what I did, I took out this demon.
That's again that confirmation bias that I was talking about before. She was looking at it from that filter, from that perspective. So of course she's going to interpret the actions of Amanda as demonic. Mm-hmm. And really, like, I can get where people would interpret it as there was a legitimate possession, but honestly, I don't think there was, because we do see some moments throughout the movie where Amanda almost has like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of thing going on, where she sits with Maud and they pray and it's all sweet and kind. And then you have she flips at night. Like at night, she goes back into the actress, mm-hmm. the celebrity, mm-hmm. darling, mm-hmm. right? And that hedonistic lifestyle from Maud's perspective is very hedonistic. And then we see where Amanda checks Maud to put Maud back in her place is at night.
Oh.
So there's that, like, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of thing going on. But I don't think it was necessarily demonic. I think it was Maud interpreting it that way.
I did think a lot about the perception that Maud had around, oh goodness, was her name Carol, the girlfriend of Amanda?
Believe so.
The luscious lady that would come to visit Amanda. There was an exchange of money, and Maud took that as, or I took, you know what? Maud never really confirms what her
It's
idea
pretty
was.
easy to see what Maud would think, though.
Yes, I was led to the, she's a lady of the night. So, but also, it's none of your business. The woman has a lot of money, and if she chooses to give for whatever reason, because the girl comes back, the woman comes back in another scene when Maud is being checked, and you see her, and she's like correcting Maud and her boundaries, and you see Carol there, and they're all having a grandeur time. So there was obviously more to the relationship, and you know, if somebody enjoys that kind of company, it's still none of your business. Or maybe her car broke down. Who the heck knows?
Right, maybe she was just helping her out.
Maybe, who knows? Maybe she's a wonderful actress and needed to help with her rent.
Maybe.
You never know.
On the topic of promiscuous lifestyle, all of that. One, we see Maud has a little bit of a promiscuous side herself.
Yes, she does.
So she's kind of hiding and masking some of that. But also, her patron saint was Mary Magdalene.
Oh.
Who, very famously, through large culture, the large understanding of Christianity, was a promiscuous sex worker. Now, what I also tuned into is very funny. Maud is helping Amanda work out. She's helping kind of stretch and exercise, do all that stuff. Her necklace falls out, and Amanda goes, well, who's your saint? She goes, oh, it's Mary Magdalene. Amanda goes, well, I didn't know they made necklaces of them, yada, yada, yada. Almost the next scene, we see a friend from Amanda's past come to the door, and he goes, oh, you must be Mary.
Oh, yes, he does. And she corrects him and says, no, it's Maud.
Exactly. I think the movie might be trying to tie a little bit of a connection between the story of Mary Magdalene and Maud and the other elements with like Carol, like you were talking about, and Amanda. So, yeah, it's just something fun that I noticed.
And I love it because right now I can hear my divine feminine cards, my the oracle cards talking, and Mary Magdalene is in there. So I'm wondering, I'm going to go peek later and see what her message is.
Now, that imagery of Maud at the end, we've talked about the end kind of very loosely so far, so let's actually like start diving into it. Now, this imagery of Maud at the end, where she's got cloth draped around her, she's walking barefoot on the beach, she's got her hair down. Her patron saint's Mary Magdalene, and like I said, the movie's already drawing some connections between her and Mary. Do you think that that's what they were trying to do there? Show her as like a Mary Magdalene figure?
Two thoughts are hitting me in my mind. One, I just would like to address that the shrouding was actually bed sheets.
No sheet.
I love you. I love it. Yes, the sheet also to me spoke to her mental health, and so it wasn't like that she went out in like some really cool garb, but she went out in sheets.
But from a traditional standpoint,
absolutely
dressed in linen, draped in linen, right?
Okay, touche. Now, what was the second point that it was in there? That was she representative of Mary Magdalene
in that final
scene? I want to ask the question because I don't know the truth of how Mary Magdalene met her demise.
I don't either.
Was it in fire? So that didn't really make me think of Mary Magdalene in that moment. I thought more of like the sacrifice, the ultimate, because that was the almost like the final stage for me after we had watched her go through the knee things where she put it on her, the rocks on her knees when she prayed, and then the feet. I felt that was more of like the final sacrifice to her God of cleansing of the spirit. Like she did go out in the linens, but that ultimate suffering, self-sacrificing to a peace is what I felt. So I didn't know that, but Mary Magdalene is coming up a lot, and so I'm definitely going to be speaking with her.
As far as her imagery at the end there, I got kind of that vibe from it, which is why I asked the question. I did kind of get that, like, okay, are they trying to really illustrate her as like a Mary Magdalene figure?
And I could see that with in her filter and what they were showing us as the audience, that everybody dropped before her. But really, everybody was screaming and panicking at this woman that has just set herself on fire on the beach.
Now, on that topic, when that final frame hits, that final image, did that change the whole perspective of what was happening in that scene for you?
Well, yeah, it was that's the reality. That is the reality. If you and I are out and somebody sets themselves on fire without saying a word, we have no understanding of what got them to that point. That is their reality. So, but in our matrix, if all of us are experiencing and watching somebody horrified, then that's what we're all experiencing. Is that?
Yeah, like that last frame, like, got me.
Whoa.
And I was like, whoa, way to end on a note.
Oh, yes.
Talk about, you mentioned ending on a bang, and there it is. I was fixated to the screen watching as like the sky's opening up over her. She's got she just covered herself in all the acetone, holds out the lighter, and she's just in this state of just bliss. It's, again, that perspective. Her filter is taking all of that and making that her reality.
Absolutely. The stuff that she was putting on Amanda, was that acetone?
It was the water she blessed.
It was the water she blessed, because then she poured herself in acetone. So I was wondering if she had actually used acetone on Amanda at that point.
No, absolutely. I kind of had that feeling myself as well around like the acetone was that. Now, into that scene with Maud and Amanda, where Amanda dies, do you think that was a act of mercy, or was it an act of Maud trying to have that righteous victory?
For a moment, I felt it was reactionary to what she was perceiving as the demon face, because it all happened very fast. And I laugh at that because we have said that this was a slow burn, and that we actually took a pause moment and looked at it and we're like, it's 15 minutes. And we're like, come on, Maud, you got to wrap it up in 15 minutes. And they did. That last 15 minutes was just like, bam, 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 bam. So what I felt and saw was like a panic that this thing was coming out of her, that she felt attacked, and she was stabbing at Amanda, getting rid of it, at whatever that sacrifice was, that it was now within her, and she was going to die anyways. So she took that out and then went on to make her final sacrifice, which was herself. But you see, when you realize what she has done, all of the mixing of the jugs and the touching of the linens, you think back on that, and she had already made up her mind of what she was going to do when her friend Joy comes to finally check on her. And by that point, it was really too late. So what role does a lack of external reality checking play in Maud's spiral?
All right, so what role does a lack of external sources keeping her reality in check play? What you're getting at? Honestly, I think that lack of community, that isolation that she's experiencing, furthers her spiral more. When we get isolated like that, whatever our thought process is, whatever our filter is set to, that is what our reality is going to be. And because she didn't really have a lot of external sources that were helping to balance her out, checks and balances, right? She didn't have that. And because of that, she went down the spiral that she did. Had she had some external validation, some external reality balancing, I don't think it would have gotten this bad. I don't think she would have gotten to the point where she was. She just needed people that were, one, able to help her see that she wasn't a bad person. She was living life. She was, yeah, there's gonna be stuff that happens along the way that's not great, stuff that you're not proud of, but it's not something that you should take to that extreme.
Does she ever express what her family upbringing was before?
Never.
No, because it made me wonder. I just had this thought about I still get the feeling she accidentally kills the patient.
Yeah.
And I got the feeling that she didn't get, trauma response, that she was just dismissed and left, and people thought that she would have just left town, which is what also made it kind of like, was it something that was intentional or accidental? And then I had a moment where I was like, did she feel like her actions made her accidentally kill somebody, and that was like her punishment, so now she had to do all this repentance? So it was just this absolute spiral. And why would you go back that deep to any sort of religion? Like, unless that was something that was like
nothing else. You have no other support system. I could see this happening. I really could.
Have you heard of a webpage called Horror Psych?
No.
It's actually pretty cool. I loved their breakdown. They did an article for the core theme, the dark psychology behind Saint Maud, when faith becomes a fracture.
And that's exactly what it becomes.
I also really liked this because of you getting into more of your psychology and branching and doing your horror corner, that the major themes that were explained in this, the faith versus reality, isolation and loneliness, guilt and redemption, identity and delusion, horror through mind, not monsters. So that was like the whole recap.
That's pretty much been our entire conversation. Right?
And that was an article, so I thought you'd enjoy that.
Yeah, I do actually. I do. All right, everybody. I think we're about finished up here. And really, I got one last question for everybody. What do you think that this movie is ultimately trying to communicate to us? Let us know in the comments below. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We do have some things coming up that are going to be incredibly interesting. We're going to have more podcast episodes, of course, but also we do have, as Ray just alluded to in that last little bit there, we do have another show that's coming up where I geek out for a little bit around horror and some of the mentality of horror and why it exists and so on and so forth. It's going to be fun. It's something called the Horror Corner. Keep an eye out for it. Crawl your way down to the subscribe button, scratch it, just to make sure that you can catch those when they happen. But either way, this has been a great conversation. Saint Maud was worth at least one watch for us, but again, we don't recommend it for everybody. And until next time, stay weird.